Welcome back to Apollo. Today we'll be taking another look at the popular subreddit r/EntitledParents. Entitled Dad and his trash girlfriend steal my boyfriend's house because he didn't even want it. Our cast: me, obvious; BF, my boyfriend, owner of the house; BD, boyfriend's dad. He isn't in the story, but is referenced a few times. Purchased the house for us. ED, entitled dad. TG, his trash girlfriend. Cop, the best police officer ever. Incredible guy. Went out of his way to help with our case from beginning to end. Shout out to Officer Parker. Backstory. Boyfriend's dad came into some fortune about half a year ago and bought a house for me and BF. BD and BF wanted me very involved in the process, as I have dealt heavily with real estate in the past, so I recommended costs, neighborhoods, specific houses to look at, etc. We settled on a beautiful 3-bedroom, 2-bath. A while ago, boyfriend sublet a bedroom in our house for only $300 a month to 2 of his very good friends, or so he thought, friends. A man, age 30, entitled dad, and a woman, age 21, trash girlfriend. I hated them and had heard terrible things about both of them. They were very rude and entitled, and also both have disgusting criminal records, especially the man. But whatever, I absolutely do not blame BF for trying to be a good friend. Maybe I had misunderstood these people and I was willing to give them a chance. Also important to note that ED had 3 kids with a woman that is not trash girlfriend, but lost them due to several charges of both child abuse and domestic abuse, trespassing, etc. It took maybe a week before entitled dad and trash girlfriend started getting very entitled. Never cleaned a single thing, left huge messes everywhere, smoked pot 24/7 in the house, constantly let their cat out on accident and blamed us for setting it free on purpose, never paid a single dime of rent in their 3 months there. Also didn't mow the lawn/clear snow from sidewalks, even though they agreed to in the lease. ED quit his job as an excuse to not pay rent. TG never had a job because she is too pretty to work. About a month later, they started treating me and boyfriend like shit. They let his cats outside and lost them on purpose. Threw all our shit on the floor on the garage and into his old dirty-ass farm truck, which hadn't been used for months as the farm had been sold, changed the locks and locked us out of the house, etc. They were served with multiple notices and eviction, and left after a lot of effort and heated debate. Once we had noticed they left, BF had asked me to change the locks immediately and move our stuff back in while he was at work. The next day, entitled dad and trash girlfriend came back and set up camp while we were gone, as we hadn't moved all our furniture yet and were still staying somewhere else. They had only a blow-up mattress, a couple suitcases, and some laundry in the washing machine in an effort to make it seem like they had never actually left. They ripped the new locks out and changed them once again, and threw all our stuff back into the garage, damaging multiple high-cost items. We talked with Cop and his partner, and they agreed that once an evicted tenant leaves, they can be charged for trespassing/breaking and entering if they return, even if they still have a key. So, we went to the house, and they were still there. We broke in through a window in the garage and at first calmly asked entitled dad and trash girlfriend to leave. This was a few months ago and was very heated, so I don't remember perfectly, but this was the gist of it. Boyfriend: you were served with eviction and chose to leave. You cannot come back now. We will call the police unless you pack up and leave now. This is your last warning. Entitled dad: no, we don't have to leave. This is our house. We are renting from you and have every right to be here. My kids are coming to live with me. We are going to start a new life here. I won them in a custody battle. Side note, there was no custody battle, obviously. BF: I don't care. You already left and you were served with eviction. We went to court. Even if you weren't, I never said your kids could live here. The other 2 rooms are ours. Me: you don't even have your kids. We know that is a lie. No court would give you custody over them when you have no job or residence. Yes, I was a bit of... This eviction had been going on for months, and I was sick of it. Trash girlfriend to boyfriend: You didn't even want this house. BD only bought it for you because you're f***ing spoiled and this dumb wanted it. Just let us live here. We walked outside and called the cops. They came immediately as it was a slow Saturday. They went inside and started assessing the situation. ED and TG were obviously scared, as they were both on probation and in possession of numerous drugs that are illegal in our state. Cops looked around and it was obvious to them that entitled dad and trash girlfriend had moved and only come back to be. The following conversation is edited a bit, as ED kept interrupting the cops, so I'm leaving out a few of the things he said so that it can actually be readable. Cop: so you were evicted? You left and the owner changed the locks and moved his property back in, correct? ED: no, I didn't change the locks. I just took theirs off and put our old ones back on. Cop: so you did change the locks? ED: well, yes, but not really because... Cop: yes or no? You changed the locks. ED: technically, but... Cop: yes or no only? ED, looking increasingly nervous. Yes. Cop: clearly you moved out. I have all the paperwork for notices and evictions served to you. You have no right to be here now. Pack up your shit and leave. ED: we didn't move out. We just removed all our stuff and took it to a storage unit. They don't even need the house. Boyfriend didn't even want it. That dumb did. I have 3 kids. They will be homeless now. Cop: no, you do not. I know your record. Grab your and leave now. ED starts screaming, getting in the cops' faces and making violent hand motions. I'm leaving a few bits of text out here as it was just pointless and mostly incoherent yelling from ED. The cops had had enough. Cop: get your and leave now. ED: no, the court hasn't ruled on it yet. We don't have to leave. True, the court hadn't ruled on it yet, but in our state, if a tenant serves with eviction leaves, they cannot come back, even without a court order. Cop: I know the case, I know the law. Leave or... ED: no, I know my rights. My kids need this house. Cop: shut up now. If you say one more word, I can and will arrest you for trespassing and breaking and entering. Get your and leave now. ED: silent for a moment. How long do I have? I expected the cop to say an hour, a day, something lenient, even though they had been and were breaking the law. What he said next was very satisfying. Cop: 5 minutes. Get your and leave right now, or I will arrest you. So, ED and TG begrudgingly packed up. Just before they left, Cop told them that if they ever set foot near the property again, BF and I had grounds to have them arrested and charged with multiple felonies. Cops, BF, and I were talking and shooting the shit a bit before him and his partner left as well. Later, the court ruled on our case. We won, and entitled dad would have to pay $1,000 to even attempt to appeal. We also found out that they stole many of our items, including very important legal documents for the house, and they were never returned to us. ED and TG disappeared, so despite their very best efforts, the cops couldn't retrieve the items either. We are paying out the to replace these items and documents. This was many months ago, and we are still recovering from it and repairing the house. Let them eat cake. Long ago, way back in the before time, I worked for one of those bulk warehouse club stores. My trade was simple. I was a wrangler of the Silver Buffalo, and dutifully retrieved the old ghetto strollers I did. The job in and of itself wasn't the worst I'd ever had. I got plenty of exercise, got to be outside, and generally didn't have to interact with the members. Calling them customers was too taboo, for the most part. The thing about this job is that the company I worked for had a reputation for being cheap. Thusly, more often than not, I was on my own out in the parking lot. Big whoop, you might say. You gathered carts? You should see how hard my job is. Yeah, well, shut up. This is my story, butt munch. I digress. The reason that being alone sucked is that this store didn't have just one kind of cart. Hell, they didn't even have 2 kinds of carts. You had your classic garden variety cart, The kiddie cart with the plastic facade to make it resemble a car, electric scooters, which weren't supposed to leave the store but did so with alarming frequency, and finally, the bulky, hard-to-control flatbeds. On top of that, whenever someone needed help loading their haul into their minivans, I was the guy they called. Because the greeters, cashiers, and managers were all busy. As you might expect, one man cannot be in multiple places at once, and as a result, on some of our busier days, it became incredibly difficult to keep enough carts in the vestibule. Our story begins on one of these days. So there I was, chugging along like a good worker drone, struggling to keep up with the sheer volume of people coming in to buy cheap bulk goods. Sure enough, I get a call on the radio. Manager. Top Gorilla 17, we need you to help some members load their purchases. Me. I'd love to, but I'm barely able to keep up out here as is. Manager. Just do it, Top Gorilla 17. You can afford to stop gathering carts for 2 minutes? Ron Howard. He shouldn't. I didn't want to push my luck, so I complied. After spending 20 minutes loading people's purchases because when one person needs it, suddenly they all need it, I came back to find my vestibule a near ghost town, save for a single line of carts that was half gone. And the Karen. I won't waste time describing this specimen. She was the prototype. You know what she looked like. There she stood, menacing, tapping her foot with such speed that she could make any metal drummer green with envy. You could collect the contempt in her gaze in a jar. Karen. Where are the big flat ones? I blanked for a moment. Me. I'm sorry? Karen. Ugh, Mexicans. For the record, I'm very much white. Karen. Where are the flat ones? Me. Oh, you mean the flatbeds. I'm sorry, I was just helping some other members load their merchandise and haven't had a chance to... Karen. Oh my God. I don't care about your excuses. You have one job, and a trained monkey could do it. I just want this lady out of my face, so I don't fight it. Me. Sorry, ma'am. I'll grab one from the parking lot for you. Karen. You'd better. So I go back out to the lot and find a whole line of flatbeds sticking out of a corral blocking several parking spaces. I push them all into the vestibule where she waits, huffing about how I'm wasting her valuable time. I separate one from the rest and bring it to her. Me. I'm terribly sorry about the wait, ma'am. She leers at me with utter malice. Karen. Unbelievable. And with that, she dismisses herself into the store, where she will be someone else's problem. I shake my head and return to doing what I'm paid to do. About 15 minutes later, I'm returning a line of carts when I see her pushing her flatbed to her Miata and jawing about stupid people, most certainly referring to me on her cell phone. You know what she had bought? What she had insisted on having a flatbed for? A cake. This wasn't even like a big cake. It was one of those little circular numbers, like this. Anyways, I witness as she continues to yammer on about how I nearly ruined, I tell you, her precious baby's birthday party when the most glorious thing happened. Still clutching her phone with those giant scoop claws of her, she attempts to pick up the cake with one hand. The plastic topper pops off, and she spills the cake all over her undoubtedly expensive designer outfit. Seething with white-hot rage, she locks eyes with me. Karen. You! Get me another cake now! Me. Terribly sorry, ma'am. I've got one job, and these carts won't gather themselves. I walked away, eating grin plastered on my face as her shrieks faded into the distance behind me. I've had my share of nasty customer interactions before, but this one really took the cake.